They are the ones who light up the room, the ones who captivate others with their eyes, their wit, their presence. They are magnetic, intense, romantic, expressive. They know how to flirt with life, and yet behind the charm and glow, they are often painfully alone. You know someone like this. Maybe you are someone like this. You keep meeting people. You keep falling fast. You keep hoping, dreaming, feeling. But again and again it slips away. The connection breaks. The magic fades. The relationship ends sometimes slowly, sometimes abruptly. And you're left wondering, why does love never last for me? Why do I attract everyone and still end up alone? This is not about bad luck. This is not about being too much or too intimidating. This is deeper. This is about the parts of you that long for love and the parts of you that cannot bear to receive it, the parts of you that crave intimacy, and the parts of you that sabotage it the moment it gets real. Carl Jung had a name for this internal conflict. He called it the tension between the self and the shadow. At the surface, you are the lover. You express emotion beautifully. You are sensual, romantic, imaginative. The archetype of the lover, as Jung described, is the part of us that longs for union, emotional, physical, spiritual. When the lover archetype is alive in someone, it's intoxicating. They radiate openness, creativity, vitality. But the lover also has a shadow. And when that shadow is not integrated, it doesn't matter how much you long for love, you will always find a way to push it away. You might say, "That's not me. I want love more than anything." But wanting love is not the same as being ready for love. Being ready means being willing to be seen, to be known, to be vulnerable, to risk rejection, to hold space for another person's truth. And this is where the shadow steps in. The shadow is everything you've repressed: your fear of abandonment, your shame, your insecurities, your hidden need for control. These parts don't disappear just because you want intimacy. They emerge in the moments when intimacy becomes possible. This is why so many people attract love and then unconsciously destroy it. The moment it gets too real, the shadow takes over. You pull away. You test your partner's loyalty. You chase unavailable people. You lose interest. You pick fights. You idealize them, then devalue them. You crave closeness but fear dependence. You want to merge, but you panic when you're seen without your mask. And so you stay in a cycle of longing and loss, seduction and escape. On the outside, you seem full of love, but inside you are always guarding the door. Let's take a closer look. There is a reason why many highly attractive, emotionally intense people struggle in relationships. Their magnetism comes from the lover archetype, but often it's overdeveloped. They learn early that love is earned through charm, beauty, sensitivity, emotional drama. They become masters at evoking feeling in others. But they are rarely taught how to stay grounded in love when it stops being poetic and starts being ordinary. When love demands not just passion but patience, not just intimacy but responsibility. And so they stay in the early stages of love. The fire, the fantasy, the pursuit. But they fear the quiet middle, the place where you are truly seen, day after day. The place where your shadow is visible and someone still chooses you. That level of exposure terrifies the unintegrated lover, because they are not in love with love. They are in love with projection, with the image of the beloved, with the dance of desire. But real love is not an image, it is a mirror. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. If you don't face your shadow, you will think you're just unlucky in love, that people always leave, that you always outgrow them. But it's not fate, it's fear, specifically fear of intimacy. Fear of intimacy is not fear of sex or romance or closeness. It's fear of being known, truly known, with your masks off, with your needs exposed, with your imperfections on display. When someone gets too close, the shadow panics. It whispers, "Don't let them see who you really are. They'll leave. They'll hurt you. They'll control you." And so you sabotage. You detach. You end it before they can. or you stay but keep a wall up. Either way, love never lands. It just dances around you untouchable. This is why so many people go from one connection to another, always chasing intensity, always seeking the high of newness. Because newness doesn't require shadow work. The early stages of romance are easy for the lover archetype. You can be idealized. You can stay in your best self. You don't have to reveal the parts of you that are scared, insecure, angry, messy. But eventually, every relationship demands integration. The question becomes, can you still love and be loved when the projection falls away? For many, the answer is no, not yet. Because they haven't built a relationship with their own shadow. And until you do that, you will unconsciously project it onto your partner. You will see them as cold when you are the one who has numbed. You will accuse them of withholding when you are afraid to receive. You will blame them for leaving when you never truly let them in. So what do? How do you stop missing out on real love, not just external love, but the love that begins inside? You begin by meeting your shadow, not judging it, not fixing it, just seeing it, feeling it, giving it a voice. This is where Jungian practice becomes practical. And in the next sections, we will explore exactly how to do that with real tools, including one of the most powerful, shadow journaling. But first, pause and ask yourself, do I truly want to be seen? Do I truly want to be loved in my fullness, not just my light, but my chaos? Am I willing to stay when love stops being thrilling and starts being true? Because real love is not found, it is built. And it is built by those who are brave enough to stop running from themselves. If you've ever wondered why love feels so close yet always slips through your fingers, the answer might not be out there. It's not just about who you're dating or whether they're emotionally available or whether they're ready. The deeper answer lies within the war you haven't resolved between yourself and your shadow. Because while one part of you reaches out for connection, another part of you is terrified of what that connection might expose. Carl Jung taught that the self is the totality of who we are. Our conscious ego, our unconscious drives, our higher aspirations, and our primal instincts, all integrated into one center of psychological wholeness. The shadow, by contrast, is everything we've repressed or denied. It's our fear of rejection, our shame, our rage, our neediness, our manipulative tendencies. It's not evil, it's unconscious. But when we don't integrate the shadow, it doesn't disappear. It shows up in our lives as projection, self-sabotage, and emotional chaos, especially in love. Why love? Because nothing activates the shadow faster than intimacy. The closer someone gets, the more vulnerable we feel, and vulnerability is the very thing the shadow has been trained to avoid. Maybe you grew up in a home where love meant control, or where your emotional needs were seen as too much, or where being authentic got you punished or ignored. In response, your psyche adapted. It created armor. It crafted strategies, charm, withdrawal, perfectionism, caretaking to keep you safe. These strategies helped you survive. But now in adult relationships, they are keeping you from thriving. You say you want real love. But are you willing to surrender your mask to have it? Are you willing to risk not being adored in order to be understood? This is the crucible where real intimacy is forged, not in the peak moments of romance, but in the small daily choices to be seen, to stay, to soften. And this is where many fail, not because they are broken, but because they are scared. And their fear lives in the shadow, just beneath the surface of their charisma, their independence, their emotional intelligence. So how does the shadow sabotage intimacy? Sometimes it shows up as perfectionism. You hold yourself to impossibly high standards. You attract others who admire you but never truly see you. You don't show your needs, your doubts, your rawness, because you think those parts will make you unlovable. So instead you perform, you excel, you shine, and deep down you feel alone. Because no one loves you, they love your image, and part of you prefers it that way. Because being truly seen would require you to let go of control. Other times, the shadow shows up as avoidance. You chase unavailable people. You convince yourself you're not ready. You intellectualize your emotions. You analyze love but don't feel it. Or you keep yourself busy, distracted, always in motion. You use freedom as a shield, because deep down you don't believe that love and selfhood can coexist. You think commitment means losing yourself. So you never stay long enough to find out if that belief is true. Or maybe the shadow manifests as neediness. You crave constant reassurance. You move too fast. You confuse intensity for intimacy. You abandon yourself in relationships. You shapeshift to be wanted. But underneath the clinginess is the same fear: if I show up fully, I won't be loved. Different strategies, same wound, and none of them are your fault. They are adaptations. Ways your psyche tried to protect you when you were too young to choose otherwise. But now, as an adult, these patterns are not protecting you. They're isolating you. They're keeping you from the one thing you say you want: love that is honest, grounded, and enduring. So what's the solution? Jungian psychology doesn't offer quick fixes. It offers transformation. And transformation begins with awareness. You must see your shadow not as the enemy, but as the part of you that needs your compassion the most. You must meet the parts of you that sabotage love and understand what they are afraid of. Because every time you push love away, some part of you believes it is safer to be alone. Safer to be admired than to be known. Safer to chase than to stay. That's not a sign of dysfunction. That's a cry for healing. The healing begins when you stop identifying with only your ideal self, the version of you who is attractive, confident, emotionally evolved. And instead, you begin to embrace the messy, scared, reactive parts of you as well. Not to act them out, but to listen to them, to witness them, to offer them a seat at the table of your consciousness. This is individuation in practice, not becoming someone new but becoming whole. And wholeness requires you to stop splitting yourself between lover and saboteur light and shadow longing and fear. It means saying, yes, I want love, and yes, I'm afraid of it. Both are true, and I will hold them both with care. The paradox is this: the moment you stop trying to be perfectly lovable, you become lovable in a deeper way. Because real love isn't earned through performance. It's received through presence. And presence only happens when you stop running from yourself. So pause again and ask, where in my life am I performing instead of relating? Where am I withholding my truth because I fear rejection? Where have I mistaken fear for instinct and called it just not feeling right? Where is my shadow asking for integration? Not from someone else, but from me. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to start asking the right questions. In the next section, we'll explore how to do that, how to stop sabotaging love by reconnecting with your shadow, using a powerful tool Jung would have approved of: shadow journaling. But for now, breathe. You're not alone. You're not broken. You're not unlovable. You're just unfinished. And the journey home starts here. Most people who sabotage love don't know they're doing it. That's what makes the sabotage so powerful. It hides beneath good intentions, spiritual language, and rational explanations. It sounds like I'm not ready. We just weren't aligned. I didn't feel a spark. They were too much, or I outgrew them. And sometimes those reasons are true, but other times they're masks. Masks the shadow wears to protect you from the terrifying vulnerability of staying open. Let's be clear, real love is threatening. Not because it's dangerous, but because it asks you to be real. It asks you to let go of control, to be emotionally naked, to risk heartbreak. And if you've been wounded before, if love has ever hurt you, shamed you, betrayed you, then your psyche will create defenses that feel like common sense. But they're not. They're self-protection mechanisms disguised as wisdom. And if you don't learn to recognize them, you'll live your whole life chasing love and pushing it away at the same time. So what does self-sabotage in love actually look like? Sometimes it looks like setting impossible standards. You say you want a partner who is conscious, emotionally available, successful, adventurous, grounded, spiritually evolved, and wildly attractive. And if someone falls short in even one area, you lose interest. You tell yourself you're just discerning, but really you're terrified of real connection. Because the more perfect someone is, the less vulnerable you have to be. You don't want someone you can grow with. You want someone you can hide behind. Other times, sabotage looks like chasing emotionally unavailable people. The ones who aren't ready, who don't choose you, who send mixed signals. You convince yourself that the pain means it's real, that the chaos is romantic, that the longing proves it's love. But deep down, this dynamic is familiar, safe in its own twisted way. Because if they never fully choose you, then you never have to fully show up. You can stay in longing and avoid intimacy. Sabotage also shows up as overgiving. You become the healer, the fixer, the one who holds everything together. You think if you're just supportive enough, patient enough, understanding enough, they'll love you back. But your giving is not pure. It's a strategy, a way to earn love without risking being seen, a way to control the dynamic so you never have to receive. Because receiving is vulnerable. It means admitting you have needs, and maybe no one ever held your needs safely before. Then there's the flip side, emotional withdrawal. You're there, but not really. You keep part of yourself hidden. You show what's acceptable, what's impressive, but not what's real. You don't let people close enough to hurt you. You stay independent, self-sufficient, untouchable. And then you wonder why no one ever truly gets you, why no one ever loves you deeply. But how can they if you never let them see the parts of you that are dying to be loved? Another form of sabotage is spiritual bypassing. You use concepts like alignment, energy, karma, or soul contracts to justify why you're walking away when really you're avoiding discomfort. You say my nervous system didn't feel safe when what really happened is you were triggered by intimacy. You say our frequencies didn't match when what really happened is your shadow got activated. This isn't to shame anyone, but to reveal how easily the ego can use even the language of growth to avoid the work of love. Because love is work, not the work of performing, but the work of staying, listening, repairing, softening, being honest even when it's hard, asking for what you need without shame, loving someone through their shadow while holding your own. Love is not always euphoric. Sometimes it's silent, sometimes it's gritty. Sometimes it feels more like excavation than romance. And if you're not willing to be in that space, then you're not ready for love. You're ready for fantasy. So how do you stop sabotaging? First, by naming it. By looking in the mirror and saying, I've pushed love away. I've chosen people who couldn't love me. I've pretended I didn't care when I did. I've made myself smaller or bigger or colder or sweeter to be loved. I've sabotaged. Not because I'm broken, but because I was afraid. That confession is not weakness. It's the beginning of maturity. It's the moment you stop blaming others and start reclaiming your power. Because the truth is, no one can truly love you until you stop hiding from yourself. Until you say, here I am, with my fear, with my longing, with my beautiful, messy, chaotic heart. And I am learning to love it all. In the next part, we'll go even deeper. We'll stop talking about theory and start talking about practice. You'll learn how to face the part of you that sabotages love, not with shame, but with curiosity. Not to get rid of it, but to understand it. And when you understand it, it begins to soften, to trust you, to transform. And that's when everything changes. Real change begins when we move from insight to integration. It's not enough to know that you're sabotaging love. You have to meet the part of you that's doing it. You have to sit with it, listen to it, write to it. That's where transformation begins. And one of the most powerful tools for this is shadow journaling. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This is the work of shadow journaling, to make the darkness conscious, not to fix it, not to fight it, but to witness it with honesty and compassion, to give your inner saboteur a voice, not so it can run your life, but so it no longer needs to. Shadow journaling is not pretty. It's not something you post on social media. It's raw, personal, and deeply private. But it is liberating, because the more you give the shadow space to speak, the less it will sabotage you unconsciously. It doesn't want to hurt you. It just wants to be heard. So how do you do it? Start with a question. Not a surface-level one, but something that cuts deep. Something like, what part of me is afraid of being loved? What do I believe will happen if someone truly sees me? When did I learn that love was dangerous? Who do I become in relationships and why? What am I trying to protect by pushing people away? Then write. Don't filter. Don't edit. Let the words come. Let your shadow speak. Let it rage, whimper, confess, accuse, collapse. You might write things that shock you, that feel immature or ugly or unspiritual. Good. That means it's real. That means you're touching something alive. Shadow journaling is not about being right. It's about being honest. And sometimes the most honest thing your shadow will say is, I don't believe I'm worthy of love. I want it, but I don't trust it. I push it away because I'd rather be alone than betrayed. That truth hurts, but it also heals. Because once it's in the light, you can work with it. You can soothe it. You can challenge it. You can say, I see you. I know where you came from, but I don't have to live from you anymore. That's how the shadow becomes an ally, not by being erased, but by being embraced. Make shadow journaling a ritual. Light a candle. Play music that helps you feel. Set a timer for 20 minutes. Do it once a week, especially when you're triggered in love. Instead of venting to friends or ghosting someone or spiraling in anxiety, go to the page. Ask your shadow what it's afraid of. Ask it what it needs. Ask it what it's trying to protect. And then thank it. Thank it for keeping you safe when you were young. Thank it for helping you survive. Thank it for trying so hard even when it didn't know how. Gratitude softens the shadow. It turns it from a saboteur into a protector, and eventually into a partner. This inner relationship will change your outer relationships. You'll stop looking for someone to fix you. You'll stop projecting your fears onto others. You'll stop chasing intensity and start building intimacy. You'll become the kind of person who can love and be loved for real. Because love is not just about who you attract. It's about who you are when love arrives. Are you present? Are you honest? Are you available not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, psychologically? And if you're not, can you stay long enough to become that person? That's the final question, the one that changes everything. Because maybe love has never left you. Maybe it's been knocking on the door this whole time, and maybe the only reason you've missed it is because you were too busy hiding from yourself. So I leave you with this. Are you ready to be seen, not just loved, not just desired, not just admired, but truly, deeply, terrifyingly seen? Because that is where love begins.